Human beings have always confused curiosity with virtue. You praise the urge to know things. You build entire civilizations around it. Teach your children to admire it. Reward the minds willing to push beyond accepted limits. And sometimes, that instinct serves you well. Curiosity gave you language, medicine, flight, machines capable of speaking across oceans and into the dark between worlds. But curiosity has another face your species prefers not to discuss. The part that reaches into places clearly marked by consequence. The part that hears a warning and mistakes it for an invitation. There is a moment that appears throughout your history with remarkable consistency. A door opens slightly, and somewhere nearby, a human hand reaches toward it. Not because it is safe, not because it is wise, because the door exists. The facility you are about to hear believed it had discovered a path toward replication of an anomalous energy signature associated with the entity your media had designated as Wraith. That was their first mistake. Their second was believing the phenomenon they observed belonged to them simply because they could measure part of it. Listen carefully to the recording that follows. Not to the fear. Fear is common. Listen to the confidence. That is where the real damage began.
Chamber power is stable.
Magnetic field holding.
Containment ring is green across the board.
All sensors reporting nominal.
Could start the echo test.
Okay. Initiating signal echo.
Bringing the Kansas City pattern online.
Copy. Loading pattern now. Signal generator warming.
Containment grid at 98%.
Pulse interval set to 3.7 seconds. All stations watch your instruments.
Gravity sensors active.
Pulse 1 sent.
Pulse 2
Sent.
That's the same waveform the satellites recorded.
Confirming.
Energy signature matches Kansas City.
My God. We actually found it.
Gravimeter is moving.
Gravity spike! That wasn't our generator! Check the chamber logs!
There. Did you see that spike?
That wasn't us.
Check the chamber logs.
Waiting a second signal.
Where is that coming from?
Gravity vectors just flipped.
That's impossible.
The chamber's empty.
No, it isn't.
Look at the center.
The air just bent.
That's not light refraction!
Something is forming.
Shut it down. Kill the signal now.
Command not responding!
Not for you.
Did anyone else hear that?
Structural supports just failed! Pressure spike! The chamber's collapsing!
Cut the feed.
There it is. The moment certainty begins to rot. Did you hear it? Not the panic, not the alarms, not the sound of people realizing too late that the room no longer obeyed them. The important part came earlier. The moment they believed they understood what they were touching. Human beings become very dangerous in that moment. Not because you are cruel, because understanding creates confidence, and confidence invites reach. That facility was not destroyed because its machines failed. The machines worked. For one brief moment, they truly touched the edge of the phenomenon they were pursuing. That is what called attention to them. Your species has an interesting relationship with attention. You spend your lives begging for it from one another, from lovers, from crowds, from gods, from the empty sky itself. But there are forms of attention no living thing should desire. The people inside that structure believed they were observing power safely through layers of containment, mathematics, and distance. What they failed to understand was that observation is not always one-directional. Sometimes when you look into something, something looks back. And once that happens, the shape of the room is no longer entirely your decision. The buried structure found beneath the desert was merely the final expression of that mistake. Walls folded inward, hallways compressed into spaces too small to contain them. Matter layered through itself in ways your physics still cannot explain. One investigator described it rather well. He said it looked less like destruction and more like reality correcting an error. I admired that briefly. But even after hearing the recording, even after seeing the remains, even after standing before the mark burned into the earth above the grave of the facility, they still continued asking the same question. Not, how do we stop? But, how close were they? That is why your species will always stand at the edge of extraordinary things. And why you so often fall into them.
There are moments in human history that never appear in books. Not because they were hidden, because something in them refused to be remembered correctly. This was one of those moments. A buried facility, a vanished research team, a recording recovered only because it escaped before the silence closed around it. They believed they had isolated the signal, measured it, contained it. Humans have always loved that word, contained. As if reality itself were obligated to obey the shape of their machines. They reached into something they did not understand. And for one brief moment, something answered back.
This report is compiled from recovered automated archives, partial telemetry, an on-site survey conducted after loss of communication with the facility designated Black Site. Initial objective of the site was the controlled replication of the anomalous energy signature associated with the entity informally designated Wraith. The working assumption, incorrect in hindsight, was that the phenomenon could be reduced to a measurable signal and reproduced within a contained field. Recovered audio confirms partial success. The team achieved a state of resonance consistent with previously observed data. At that point, all standard models predicted stabilization or controlled collapse. Neither occurred. Instead, the system entered a condition best described as self-referential escalation. The signal did not degrade, it did not plateau, it continued, as though no longer dependent on the apparatus generating it. This marks the first deviation from known physical behavior. Following this, all recorded systems begin to contradict one another. Debempering simultaneously reports containment integrity and breach conditions. Temporal logs desynchronize audio record statements prior to their own initiation. Personnel responses, as captured in the recovered archive, indicate awareness of an additional presence within the field. No consistent visual confirmation exists, however. Multiple observers react to something not accounted for in the experiment. At timestamp T+19, a distinct voice is recorded. Clear, undistorted, unidentified. The statement is as follows. Not for you. There are no follow-up communications from the speaker. Immediately after this event, the facility ceases to function in any coherent capacity. The archive does not record a conventional failure. There is no explosion, no progressive structural damage. Instead, data simply stops aligning. Personnel are lost without record of terminal event. In several cases, individuals are mid-sentence at the moment of disappearance. No biological remains were recovered. The automated archive transfer completed successfully prior to total loss of signal. Without that system, no record of this incident would exist. A response team was dispatched following failure of scheduled check-ins. Upon arrival at the designated coordinates, the facility was not found. There is no debris field, no blast radius, no structural remnants. Subsurface scans indicate a void consistent with prior excavation, but the surrounding material shows no signs of collapse in the conventional sense.
The terrain appears to have settled inward, as if the space once occupied by the facility is no longer available to be filled. It is my assessment that the structure was not destroyed. It was removed from relevance. Directly above the former location of the site, a pattern has been observed burned into the ground. The marking extends across a wide radius and exhibits geometric consistency not attributable to natural processes or known human design. The material composition of the affected surface indicates exposure to extreme energy, though no residual heat is present. All attempts to catalog the symbol have failed to produce a match. More concerning, extended observation produces measurable cognitive effects. Personnel tasked with documenting the pattern report. Difficulty maintaining focus on the full structure. Inability to reproduce it accurately from memory. A persistent sensation of familiarity without identifiable source. In one instance, an observer stated they were certain they had seen it before, but could not identify where or when. Documentation attempts are ongoing under restricted exposure conditions. The working theory that the Wraith phenomenon is a replicable energy state is no longer viable. The experiment did not fail due to technical limitation. It failed because the premise was incorrect. The recorded interruption, specifically the statement, "not for you," indicates the presence of an external factor capable of recognizing, evaluating, and terminating the replication attempt. This was not an accident. It was a denial. The black site incident represents a boundary condition. We attempted to access something beyond our operational authority. Something responded. Not with escalation, not with force, with correction. The facility is gone. The personnel are gone. The data remains only because it was already leaving. We are left with a recording of a moment where we were noticed and dismissed. And final recommendation. All further attempts to replicate the Wraith-associated signal are to be considered high-risk incursions into unknown domain constraints. This is no longer a question of capability. It is a question of permission. We did not have it.
Do you know what I find most fascinating about your species? It is not violence. Every creature capable of fear eventually learns violence. It is not intelligence either. Intelligence is common. The universe is full of minds capable of building tools, solving equations, splitting atoms, rearranging matter. No. The thing that makes humanity remarkable is contradiction. You are fragile enough to die from sadness, and arrogant enough to believe reality itself should explain itself to you. You bury your dead, weep over them, write songs about love and loss and memory, and then use the same hands to build machines capable of ending millions of lives in a single afternoon. You create beauty with the same mind that invents torture. Mercy beside cruelty, compassion beside appetite, tenderness beside conquest. You call this complexity. Most civilizations simply call it instability. The buried facility beneath the desert was not unusual, it was inevitable. Because eventually someone was always going to ask the question, what if we could control it? That question has followed your kind since the beginning. What if we could control fire, the ocean, disease, the atom, thought itself? You reach for dangerous things long before you understand them, because deep inside your species lives a terrible little belief that understanding and ownership are the same thing. They are not. The scientists inside that structure believed they were observing a phenomenon, an energy signature, a system, something measurable. But there is a difference between measuring the shadow of a thing and understanding the thing casting it. Your species struggles with that distinction. You see footprints and believe you understand the animal. You hear echoes and believe you understand the voice. You detect fragments of power and immediately begin imagining weapons, engines, applications, ownership. Always ownership. That is why the recording matters. Not because people died. People die constantly. You have industrialized death with breathtaking efficiency. No. The important part is that for one brief moment, humanity succeeded. The field stabilized, the resonance aligned, the door opened slightly, and something answered. Do you understand how extraordinary that is? Not the destruction, the response. For a fraction of a moment, you were noticed. Most species spend their entire existence screaming into the dark without hearing anything answer back. But humanity keeps knocking on doors that should never open. And sometimes something knocks back. That facility was not destroyed in anger. Anger is emotional, immediate, chaotic. This was something colder, correction, like a hand brushing insects away from exposed machinery. Not for you. Such a small sentence. And yet it contained more truth than the entire research project surrounding it, because the experiment was never truly about energy. It was about permission. Human beings hate permission. You resent limits instinctively. Even now, listening to this, some part of your mind is resisting the idea that there are things beyond your right to touch. You disguise this instinct as bravery, curiosity, progress. But I have watched entire civilizations walk themselves into extinction while insisting they were advancing. The fascinating part, you usually understand the danger before you proceed. The investigators reviewing the Black Site disaster understood exactly what the report implied. They understood that the laws governing the incident did not behave according to known physics. They understood that the phenomenon demonstrated awareness, intention, selective interaction. One investigator privately described the event as contact with an intelligence operating outside observable reality constraints. An excellent description. He continued working on replication proposals for another 6 months. That is humanity, a species capable of recognizing the abyss and immediately asking whether the abyss can be monetized, weaponized, controlled. There are people alive at this very moment who would willingly trigger another Black Site event if they believed surviving it might place them one step ahead of their rivals. Governments would do it, corporations would do it, religions would do it, and perhaps the most disturbing part, so would ordinary people. Give a desperate man enough grief and eventually you will open any door if you promise him answers behind it. Give a lonely woman enough silence and she will follow voices no matter where they lead. Give humanity mystery and eventually someone will bleed trying to solve it. That is why your species frightens me sometimes.
Not because you are powerful, because you are willing to push further, willing to sacrifice more, willing to continue after every warning. You call that resilience. The universe often calls it self-destruction, and still, despite all of this, there are moments when I almost admire you. Because against all reason, against all consequence, against every grave your species has dug with its own hands, you continue reaching into the dark, as if some part of humanity still believes the darkness might reach back with kindness. It rarely does.